line here is going to be y, is for y. So the numbering, it must be scale. It must be very equal, very equal. If you're scaling from here to there, it must be equal to that from here to there. So though you might not be that much accurate, but you must try it to, when you draw it, if you are drawing in a paper, try to draw it in a very good scaling. So from this side here, in your right side, is going to be a positive number, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you can go to 6, 7, up to upwards. The side of the axis, this is an X line, it's an horizontal line, it's going to be negative, -1, -2, -3, and -4. And this side here, which is vertical, a vertical line is going to be for y axis. So for y here, the up line is going to be for positive, which you can write 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you can also do the same this side. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when we draw a line, it can be, for example, I will just draw it anyway. This is a line. So this line that I draw in here is a straight line. So this straight line here, you will see that the more it's moving, it's increasing, or it can be decreasing. If you are going up, down, there, it's like it's decreasing. You can have a constant line. When we talk about a constant line, is when a line is very straight like that. So this line only touch one value, like it touches one value in y, or it can be this side like that. Said this two line that I've drawn, this line, we call it a constant line. So constant line, normally we find that the value of x is just equals to 1 or 1.5. This is a equation of a constant line, or y equals to 2. When you see this, when they say this is equation of a straight line, it means that the line is constant. So this is just gonna give you some background based on what we are doing. So when we know how that we can draw these lines, you must know that we have something, we call it a coordinates. Coordinates. So coordinates. So coordinates, they work with especially in terms of, you will see brackets is x into y. Into y. So this x into y, so the x into y, what happens is that if I want a value, let's say, for example, let's assume this line here, it touches what? X at 1. So the value for that, when we write in terms of coordinates, x, it was 2 here. Then we're going to write 2. Then into y here, if you check, it's 0. So we're going to write 2 into 0. This is a coordinate of this line, is the coordinate. So that's how you normally write a coordinate of any graph actually. So now we're gonna go to most important part. So the most important part about what we are doing, we have y equals to mx plus c. So in this is the equation, what I've written here. It's an equation. It's an equation of a straight line. It's an equation. It's an equation of a straight line. Equation of a straight line. I will just say straight line. You must remember that this line means straight line. So in this equation of a straight line, we have an m. M, it stands for a gradient. Stand for gradient. So this gradient that we are talking about, a gradient. So gradient, it means, in other words, it means slope. It means slope. So slope is how how like I cannot like slope is when if like you have a right let's say a straight line like that, you are climbing, you will feel that you are feeling what you're gonna be feeling it like if you are going in a mountain, the steepness, you're gonna feel it that okay, you are working in order for you to reach here if you started here. So the more you are going up there and the harder it becomes. So we call it that's a slope. Actually, it defines it itself as a slope. It means like you can understand it's just a simple word, English word. So that's the meaning of gradient. When we say calculate a slope, we want to know how hard it's gonna be for you if you have to move from this point to there. So when you have this gradient, we also have x. X is then gonna be the value. If this line, it was, let's say, in the Cartesian plane like that, you will have a value of x and y, the way I have shown you in this graph there. In these graphs here, you will have those values. So the m, the c, so the c, this c you see there is constant. We call it constant. Constant. So now you might ask yourself, how are you going to be able to get the m, the gradient? So we have a formula to calculate the gradient. So the formula to calculate the gradient, m, let's use m. So the formula, it says y2, it's y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. This is the formula to calculate the gradient of this equation of a straight line. So when you have this formula to calculate the gradient, you might be given a coordinate in the form of a coordinate. Let's say they gave you that you have a straight line. There is a straight line. There is a straight line that passes. Let's say there is a straight line that passes through a point P. This point P, they tell you that is 1 into 3 and Q. And Q, which is, let's say, 0 into 2. Then find the equation of a straight line. Then you have to find the equation of a straight line. So when you find the equation of a straight line, the first thing that we're going to calculate for this, remember in these values, this is going to be your x and y, your x and y values. So you can decide this is going to be your x1, y1, your x2, and y2. So when we calculate the m, we're going to say the gradient, which is m, is going to be x2, sorry, is going to be y2. It's going to be y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Then this is going to be equal to, you can take this value here, which is 2 for y2 minus your y is 3, is going to be 3 there, divide by 0 minus 1. So if we calculate here, you will see that 2 minus 3 is going to be equal to negative 1. And then 1 minus 0 minus 1 is going to be minus 1 again. And negative divided by negative is going to be positive. So remember, if you say negative times negative, this is equals to positive, and negative multiplied by positive, this is equals to negative, and negative divided by negative equals to positive, and positive divided by, or negative divided by positive is going to be equal, positive divided by negative is going to be equal to negative. You must remember this kind of sign rules. So now we found that our m equals to 1. So we can rewrite in our equation for y equals to mx, we can substitute 1, then we're going to have y equals mx 1x plus c. So which you can rewrite it as, let's write it, you can rewrite it as y equal to x plus c. So now we're going to be having a problem of finding the c. So to find a c, you can use any value between this p and q. You can decide to use p, you will still get the same value, or use q, you will get the same value. So I'm going to use q. You guys are going to try it using p value. And you will see that when you use p, you are going to find what the same value for c. So q is 0 and 2. So I'm going to use 0 and 2, or o and 2. O and 2. So when I'm going to use o and 2, I'm going to substitute them in this equation. So my x is 0 and my y is 2. So which means that in this equation, I'm going to substitute these coordinates. So my y is going to be 2 equal to x is 0 plus c. So if you see there, now it means that 2 equal to, because 2 plus a, c is going to be c. C equals to 2, which we can rewrite it as c equal to 2. Then I will substitute back to my equation, this c value that we just got now. So when we substitute it back, you will find that our y equation is going to be equals to x plus what? Plus 2. So we just found the equation of what? Of the equation of those coordinates, the straight line that passes through those coordinates. So that's how we find the questions for, that's how we find the equation of a straight line that passes through those coordinates. So if you check, I'm not sure if I will be fine. Let me do it quickly. Yes, I think I got it quickly. So in this equation here, what we just did now, I just want to get some few questions based on your study guide, because we must also use this guide a lot, so that I don't really formulate my own, because I love formulating my own questions, but there are some things that I'm going to show you now. Let me just browse. Okay, before I browse quick, yeah, I'm trying to browse here. I'm not getting to. All right, I'm getting there. Just be patient. Yeah, okay. And this is functions. So the first few here, they will be teaching you guys about functions, how it works. So I'm gonna start here where they start with a straight line. Many of the things I'm still gonna explain to you. Here where they say functions and relationships, you will go through that. I'm not gonna go through that. Okay, this is page number 121 in your study guide. You can check that. There they are teaching you about the Cartesian plane we already discussed. That is x and y. I already showed you that. And then how to write the plotting number, the way there, how to plot those coordinates. You can plot them. We didn't really plot them. Then now they will be showing you the equation of a straight line. So this is a equation of a straight line that we're discussing. But when I write it, I say mx plus c. So a is going to be for your gradient and b is your constant. So you will see there, you can draw a line like that. At least here they were using a computer to draw it. Then, and so on and so on. So let me stop here. We're gonna browse again. So there is something that I really want to explain. So we wrote this equation. So in your formula, in your syllabus, what they're gonna trick you, they will know that this is the question that when you write, you're going to get. So, but when they write it, they will write it, maybe they say, this equation they can multiply it by 2. When we multiply everything by 2, they can say, choose the equation that is similar, that is the same as for the straight line. They will say, There is a straight line that passes through point P and Q. Then find the equation. Then in your multiple choice question, you find that they wrote it like 2y minus 2x equals to 4. This is still the same thing as this. They are the same. So the difference is that if we divide everything by 2, we divide everything by 2 here, you will find that we're going to get y minus x equals to 2. And if you take this x the other side, you will have y equals to what? When you take it the other side, the sign, it changes. This sign is going to be plus. Then we're going to be having x, which is positive, the plus 2. Then this is still the same as that. So they might not really write exactly this equation, just to trick you to make sure, they want to make sure that you really understand the work. So now I have gotten my straight line. Now I have found my straight line, which is y equals to x plus 2. So in this straight line, straight line or linear, we have something called x-intercept. X-intercept. X-intercept, our y value must be equals to 0. And our y-intercept intercept, I think I'm writing the wrong spelling, but it's fine. Our x0, you can check the spelling. Our x0 must be equals to 0. So what does exactly these two things mean? It means that when I have to find my x-intercept, let's say I want to draw this line in our Cartesian plane, I can find the x-intercept, y equals to 0. It means that I'm going to say, where there is y, I'm going to say 0 equals to x plus 2. Then you can see that if I take this to the other side, this implies that it's going to say change the sign. It's going to be negative 2 equals to x. And when negative equals to x, this implies that I can rewrite it as x equals to 2. So when I put this in terms of coordinates, you will see that it takes us back to those coordinates whereby when y is 0, x is 2, we have 2 into 0. We got that when y is equals to 0, our x, we got what? We get, when y equals to 0, our x will get 2. So we go to y-intercept, our x must be 0. So when we go to x-intercept, when y-intercept, when x equals to 0, then it means that now we're going to write it, we're going to have y equal to x, where there is x, we're going to put 0 plus 2. Then our coordinates here now, we're going to see that our y, this implies that our y is going to be equal to 2. So when we write in terms of coordinates, our x was 0, then our y we got 2. So if I have to plot these coordinates, I can plot them in a Cartesian plane. I will write a simple or short Cartesian plane here. Don't mind about the straight line for now. We are not a computer. Even when you are writing, but you must be neat. But I mean, if you have to draw, they don't really mind about your straight lines. They mind about how, but it must be nice. It must be straight line. This one is very bad here. So I'm gonna erase it and try to be more straight, but I'm getting worse now. So some of the things we want to really use the ruler, I will be wasting time. So it's better, and I think it's better, it's fine. We're gonna write 1 and 2, then negative, 1 and 2. This is positive and 2 there. Remember, this is your x side, and this one here is your y side. So when we plot, the first point we got that when y is 0, we get 2. X, it was 2 when y is 0. We're going to plot this point here. And when x is 0, we got y that is 2. We're going to plot this point here. So I will join this point. Okay, I didn't join them properly. So let me use different color. I will join this point like that. Let's assume it's a straight line. So I've just drawn a straight line here. This straight line that I've just drawn now is for the equation y equals to x plus 2 with a gradient of 1. So this is the equation of this straight line we draw now for y equals to x plus 2. So now you know how to get the x-intercept and the y-intercept of a straight line. So is there anyone who have a question? If you have a question, you can let me know now quickly. You can unmute your mic, you ask any question based on what we have done so far. Or you guys, you are fine. Hello? So let's see this activity first. It says the equations that describe 4 straight lines are given below. Determine the intercepts on the x and y axis for each of the following straight lines. Then draw the graph of each straight line. So I will take the first one. This one you're gonna do it is y equals to 1 plus x is simple. It's the same as the one we just did now for y equals to what? Equals to x plus 2. So I will try to take the one which it can be a little bit tricky. So let's take this one for negative 6 plus 9x. Negative 6 plus 9x. Y equal to negative 6 plus 9x. The first thing that we're going to get our x-intercept. I'll just say x-inter, like it means intercept. Then our y, we know that is going to be equal to what? Equal to 0. Then it means that if my y is going to be equal to 0, I can say 0 is going to be equal to negative 6 plus 9x. And I hope maybe I copied the right thing. Let me check. Yeah, it's plus there. It's okay. Then we can take this 6. The other side is going to change the sign. It's going to be 6 equal to 9x. Then we can divide by 9. So that we can have only x. We divide by 9 this side. Then this implies that we're going to have x equal to 6 divided by 9. And 6 divided by 9 is the same as 2 over 3. If you use your calculator, it's 2 over 3. Then which means I can rewrite these coordinates as when my y is 0, I got 2 over 3 into 0 for y. Then I'm going to go and calculate the y-intercept. To calculate the y-intercept, we know our x must be equal to 0. So if my x equals to 0, it implies that in that equation, I'm going to have y equal to negative 6 and plus 9. Where there's x, I'm going to substitute with 0. Then this is going to be equal to negative 6. So this means this implies that my y equal to what? Equals to negative 6. So in terms of coordinates, I can say when x is 0, my y equals to negative 6. So now I have these 2 points. I can now draw a graph whereby when I draw my graph, all right. When I draw my graph, let me just try to be better nyana with this ruler is fine because I'm not 90 degrees quickly. must end at 90, so that is accurate. It's a very straight line when it's at 90, I guess, but not really. Yeah, maybe 89 is fine. But normally, if it have to be straight line, it have to be 90 degrees, so that it must be perpendicular to the x-axis. But you don't really have to worry about that. All right, so this is my x side and my y. Let me try to extend it. Okay, yeah, I'm not good with drawing, guys. I can see. Some people can extend very better than what I'm doing here. So I'm gonna check my coordinates. I found that I have when x is 0, I get -6. And also when I got 3, 2 over 3 when y is 0. So when we plot this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I will end it there. Yeah, let's say it's 1, 2, 3. No, it's very small. I want to make it so that we can have 6, but it's very, very small. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's extend it to 6. Yeah, let's say 6 is there. It's -6 here. -5. I will not write all of them. You can fill up. So when x is 0, y it was here. Okay. Y it was here, this side there. You will write a dot. And when y is 0, x was 3 over 2. 3 over 2 is going to be 0, comma, maybe 0.7 something. I'm not sure if it's going to be straight 7.5. So let's assume it's going to be this side here. Then your straight line, when you draw it, you will see that it's going to go like this way. Just that I'm not accurate here. But let me try to be accurate. It's fine. So that you can see exactly what is happening. Then this is going to be our straight line. Eh? I'm going to draw it with red color. This is how our straight line is going to be. This is the straight line of equation that we just draw now. So if you go to your books, it's number 3. I think this activity, they tried to answer these questions. Let's see. There it is. You can see it's exactly the same as we've drawn. You see that we get this point for x intercept when y equals to 0. And then for y-intercept when x equals to 0, we got also this point. Then when we draw it, you draw it exactly that way. And it's exactly the way we did here in when we're doing it. So there are many exercises. This one this a chapter for straight line. It's not that much hard. You only need to know the formula. So when you know the formula, everything is going to be fine. So I just want us to get some also questions, and I'm still going to do more questions with you guys based on the straight line. So you know this one now, that when you want to find the slope or the gradient of a straight line, you use this equation. You all understand now this is 2 points, is their coordinates, x1 and x2, how you get them. So maybe you can get some few questions based on a straight line and you try them. So I'm gonna show you something here. You might be given something like this in terms of numbers from the other side. Sometimes they might not really indicate this x and y. They will just say number of minutes and weekly. So the first one you must know, you can put it as x for yourself and y. Then when we write this in terms of coordinates, it's like you have 60 into 90. This is the terms when you're writing them in terms of coordinates, and the other coordinates is 152 into 152 into what? Into 159. So now you have two coordinates, as I've shown you how to write them. So now with 59, when you have these two coordinates, or even this one, understand this strategy, you can now get the gradient. You can now get what? You can now get the gradient. After that, you can get your constant. Then you can work it out the way they did here, and you end up getting your straight line. How easily it's gonna be. So I think there are many exercises, not activity. Maybe you can get some exercises in this book whereby you will do them. So we're gonna proceed with our lesson. So I'm not, as I've said, indicated that my drawing is bad so far. You might have, let's assume this is a Cartesian plane and this is a straight line. I tried this time. So in this Cartesian plane, we have this line which is for x. We know the horizontal one is x and the vertical one is y. So the straight line here in the center of this two line where they touch is 0. So the straight line that touches straight here and goes there, this straight line, the equation is always y equals to x. So this straight line, always when you see a straight like this, you must remember y equals to x. The values of this side, if you start here like this and go here, the values are going to be equal. If you want here, you're going to get 1 there. That's what it means. If you go like this, the values, if here is 2, also here is going to be 2. That's the meaning of that. So this straight line which you see, you will see that if you calculate a gradient, but you don't really have to memorize that. In this side, when you calculate gradient, if we have this, let's assume this is a straight line, you will see that the gradient here is positive. So, but what about if the line goes that way? I didn't draw it properly, this one. So I wanted it to be on the origin in the center there. So you will see that if the straight line, it goes this way, if it goes this way and this way, you will see that when you calculate the gradient here, you're going to get positive results and positive here. And then for the x-axis, you're going to bet also negative and negative. So your results there is going to be a negative gradient. So your gradient here is going to be negative. So, but those one, you don't really have to memorize them. So for today, I would like you guys to learn through this straight line, understand the gradient, and then also maybe do some few questions. Maybe I will try to send some few questions in the group so that you can practice with them. So most of the people today, they won't be available because this class normally is supposed to be starting at 7. So I'm not going to be available at 7. So that's why this class, I said 5 so that you guys can catch up. I will send this video in the group. So guys, due to this group, this class have many students. There are many students who are supposed to be in today, but they are not here. So I will catch you guys in the next section. But before I stop, if you have any question, you can ask me. And then I hope you learned something today at this time, though we were not supposed to start at this time. Anyone who have a questions before we stop our lessons? All right, it seems like there is no one who have a lesson, only have a question here. So guys, bye, and I will catch you up in the next section. And see you guys. Have a good day or good night, or yeah, it's fine.